the public hearing to order. It's Tuesday, March the 4th. We will begin with our roll call, and I declare all councillors are present with the exception of Councillor Tim Harding, who is attending virtually for medical reasons, and also Councillor Everett McPherson is home quite ill. So I would ask that we have a motion to recognize that Councillor McPherson is home due to illness, please. Moved by Councillor Gates, second by Councillor Allen. All those in favor or against, please vote.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention Councillor Harding will be voting
Online.
Online, correct. All right, motion carried. Thank you. In a public hearing, the council's role is to hear staff presentations as well as comments from the public on the file and the information that is being presented. There will be no debate. However, any member of council may ask questions of clarification of either staff or the public. So we'll move on to the business. There's only one item of business this evening. We have an application file number 2-06 to rezone properties on Highway 1 in Coldbrook to permit the development of two 12-unit dwellings. Perry Bowman, our municipal planner, will be presenting, and so Ms. Bowman, I'll turn the floor over to you. Are you presenting from there? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us here this evening. As Mr. Mayor said, we are here to discuss a land use bylaw map amendment application or rezoning application for 6746 and 6754 Highway 1 in Coldbrook. Okay. So just to give us a recap on the process to begin with, we received a completed application on March 20th, 2024. Following that, a public information meeting was held on April 30th, 2024. There were 8 members of the public in attendance along with the applicant. Following the public information meeting, staff conducted a review of the application before proceeding through to the Planning Advisory Committee, which was held on January 14th, 2025. Following that, we had first reading on February 4th, 2025, and we are here this evening on March 4th for the public hearing. Prior to this evening's public hearing, properties within 500 feet of the subject site were notified by letter mail. And following this evening's public hearing, we will be proceeding through to second reading, where the full municipal council will vote and make a decision on the application. And following that, there is a 14-day appeal period. So in respect to the proposal, as I said before, this is for a land use bylaw map amendment or rezoning application to rezone the subject property from the residential 1 and 2 unit R2 zone to the residential mixed density R3 zone to permit the development of two 12-unit dwellings. So I will note that the planning process does not provide consent for development. Additional permits will be required before any form of construction can commence on the site. I am ultimately just assessing the rezoning, and one part of that assessment requires me to assess land use conflicts. This is why we require the applicant to advise what their proposed land use would be as part of the rezoning process. And I will also note that this application was amended after the public information meeting. At the public information meeting phase and when the application was initially submitted, it was to rezone the property from the residential 1 and 2 unit zone or R2 zone to the residential multi-unit zone or R4 zone. So this is a map of the County of Kings with the red circle indicating the approximate location of the subject site within the community of Coldbrook. So this is an aerial image of the site. So while we do have two civic addresses that are subject to this site, this application, it is made up of 3 separate parcels of land. They are all located on the southern side of Highway 1 and to the east of Mountain View Road. There is 363 feet of frontage to Highway 1 and 148 feet of frontage to Mountain View Road. The sites are located within an existing established residential area of Coldbrook that are serviced by sewer or municipal sewer, and the Harvest Moon Trail is directly on the opposite side of Highway 1. Oh, and they also have a total area of 1.8 acres. So this is a zoning map of the subject site and surrounds. All of the property and surrounding area is located in the residential 1 and 2 unit zone, or R2 zone. The R2 zone permits 2 unit dwellings, 1 unit dwellings, and group dwellings as of right. This is the future land use designation map, which outlines the site is located in the residential designation. The designation of the land identifies what the overall intent of the land is for, and if changes are proposed to be made, what those changes can be. Municipal Planning Strategy Policy 3.1.3 states that all residential zones are permitted within the residential designation, meaning the municipal planning strategy does not prohibit the rezoning of the land from the residential 1 and 2 unit zone to the residential mixed density zone if all other policy components are met. So this is an image showing what the hypothetical rezoning would look like if it is approved in its current form. So this is an image taken on the site, the eastern end of 6754 Highway 1, which shows the slope of the land and the existing dwelling of the land. Again, this is taken on 6754 Highway 1 looking up at the dwelling. We can also see there is a timber retaining wall on the left-hand side of this image, which is the easternmost extent of this site. So this is an image taken standing on the corner of Mountain View Road and Highway 1. The yellow arrow indicates where that timber retaining wall was in the previous image. So we do have a significant length of frontage. And this is an image taken looking at 6746 Highway 1 from Mountain View Road, looking at the existing dwelling on the site. And you'll also note that there is some vegetation on the left-hand side of the screen, which is in the direction of Highway 1. So, in regards to public consultation, 64 property owners within 500 feet of the subject property were notified by letter mail prior to the PIM and prior to the public hearing. A public information meeting was held in council chambers on April 30th, 2024, and the associated public information meeting presentation has been made available online since that time. A notice of the PIM was placed in the April 23rd edition of the Valley Journal Advertiser as well. So, during the public information meeting and following conversations with residents via phone or in person, these were the chief concerns raised as part of those discussions. I will note that there is a lot more information in the report that is part of the agenda for this evening, but I will run through each of these now. So one of the main concerns was in regards to well water availability. Many of the residents expressed concerns regarding how this potential proposal would impact their ability to access well water. I will note that the Nova Scotia Department of Environment and Climate Change is the body with jurisdiction over well water. However, as a result of this concern, we did ask the applicant to undertake a drawdown study to determine, the amount of water available to them. The drawdown test undertaken by a licensed well driller indicated that they could pull out of the ground 600 gallons per hour. Going back to the body with jurisdiction, the Nova Scotia Department of Environment does not trigger a consent from them or a permit for them unless you're drawing out more than 23,000 litres of water per day. So if they're under that, they have no problems, but if they're exceeding that, they will need to get consent from the Nova Scotia Department of Environment. Another area of main concern was all things road safety, traffic, road conditions, lack of sidewalks and school bus routes. One of the main points was the existing congestion residents are facing on Highway 1 and Mountain View Road, and I guess worried that this proposal and increase in traffic will make things worse. Following into that, looking at where the school bus comes and drops the kids off, and how there are no sidewalks on Mountain View Road, and so having kids and people walking up Mountain View Road was raised as a concern. In addition to that, Mountain View Road slopes up from Highway 1, so there was concern that with an increase in traffic there might be more collisions with people exiting their driveways. The third point was in regards to vegetation removal and habitat removal and the site cut that would be required given the slope of the site. I will note that as part of the planning process there are no triggers for assessment of vegetation removal or site cuts or earthworks, so I have no way of assessing that as part of this application. Linking into that, there was concerns raised regarding privacy, and if all the vegetation is removed, neighbouring residents were worried that they would have a lot less privacy on their properties. On the vein of privacy, one resident also mentioned that they have issues with trespassers coming up from Highway 1 through their property. As a result of that, we did refer the application out to the RCMP, and they did not report having any reports of trespassing in the past year. Sorry, I will jump back to the road safety side of things. I forgot to say this. We did refer the application out to the Department of Public Works regarding all the concerns that were raised regarding road safety conditions, traffic generation, sidewalks and such. In regards to those concerns, they did not come back having any concerns. The only flag they raised was that they would be requesting that all future access to the site be coming off of Mountain View Road with no road or driveway access onto Highway 1. Further down to noise and light, the residents were quite concerned that additional residential units would result in additional noise from, I guess, everyday living, and also having lights shining into their houses from the new development and car park. So in respect to lighting, we do have regulations within the land use bylaw that can enforce direction of lighting in the car park so that it wouldn't be shining into neighbouring dwellings. In respect to noise, between the proposed zone and the existing zone, there is no change in the existing and allowed density of residential units. So as such, the owner of the land could come in tomorrow and apply for a development permit to construct units at the same density as what is proposed without needing to go through this process. So we do not consider that there would be an excess of noise above and beyond what is already permitted within the current zone. And the last point that was raised is in regards to taxes and property values, and unfortunately that's not something we can consider through this process. Okay, jumping into policy, Municipal Planning Strategy Policy 5.3.3 states that Council shall consider amendments to any one of the zoning maps of the land use bylaw, provided the application is for a specific development, which in this case we've been advised is for 2 12-unit dwellings. And point A is to rezone land to another zone enabled within the same designation. So as we saw in the future land use map, the sites are covered by the residential designation, and the municipal planning strategy allows all residential zones within the residential designation. So further to that, Municipal Planning Strategy Policy 5.3.5 states that Council shall consider in relation to all applications to rezone land. Point A, the applicable zone placement policies. Point B, the impact of both the specific development proposal and of other possible uses permitted in the proposed zone. And point C, the general criteria for amending the land use bylaw set out in section 5.3, development agreements, and amending the land use bylaw. So, in respect to point A of the previous slide, in regards to the zone placement policy, the zone placement policy is set out in Municipal Planning Strategy 3.1.2, which states that lands located in the residential mixed density zone are intended to provide a transition between areas of low and high density, or on properties that would benefit from flexible development options, including diversity of building forms. This zone is intended to include residential units in a variety of building types at a density consistent with the residential 1 unit R1 zone and residential 1 and 2 unit R2 zone. So the subject site, which is shown in blue on this image, is located in an existing residential subdivision of Coldbrook Growth Centre along the main transportation route of the municipality, apart from Highway 101. The site possesses an opportunity for infill development within an established residential community where sewer servicing is available and can be utilised, and where density and height of residential units permitted under the current zone is the same as what's permitted under the residential mixed density R3 zone. The site would benefit from flexible development options and building forms permitted through the residential mixed density R3 zone while maintaining the minimum density permitted in the current zone. The proposed development of multi-unit dwellings will provide an opportunity for residential units of various sizes to be provided at a density consistent with the residential 1 unit R1 zone and residential 1 and 2 unit R2 zone. Sorry, I sometimes get those mixed up. So in respect to point B of the Municipal Planning Strategy Policy 5.3.5, which is in relation to the specific development proposal and other possible uses permitted, there is no change in terms of the non-residential uses between the R2 and R3 zone. The residential mixed density zone does permit an additional amount of land uses, which include group dwellings, multi-unit dwellings, residential facilities, semi-detached dwellings, townhouses, and 2-unit dwellings, in comparison to the residential 1 and 2 unit zone, which only permits group dwellings, 1 unit dwellings, semi-detached dwellings, 2 unit dwellings. So the application proposes the development of multi-unit dwellings, which is why we are considering the rezoning to the residential mixed density R3 zone. This proposal does not seek to increase the permitted density on the land, only the permitted built form options. And then in regards to point C, we were asked to consider Municipal Planning Strategy Policy 5.3.7. So the proposal is considered to be in line with the intent of the Municipal Planning Strategy and does not conflict with any municipal provincial programs, bylaws, or regulations. There is not expected to be any financial impact on the municipality. This would occur, for instance, in the event that we needed to implement new sewer lines and such. Both the existing and neighbouring land uses are residential, along with the proposed use is residential, so there are not expected to be any land use compatibility issues. The Coldbrook and District School is located within 1,300 feet of the subject site, and the Central Kings High School is approximately a 4-minute drive from the subject site. The Coldbrook and District School provides a large area for recreation, including ovals and playgrounds, and the Harvest Moon Trail is also directly across the road from the subject site. As previously stated, we did refer the application out to the Department of Public Works, which is the body with jurisdiction over both Mountain View Road and Highway 1, and they did not raise any concern in regards to congestion or increase in traffic on those roads, along with all of the other concerns raised. The only stipulation they had was they would require access to the site to be from Mountain View Road rather than Highway 1. Similarly, we referred the application to the Kentville Fire Chief, and they advised that there is adequate fire protection services and equipment available for the proposal. We referred the application to the municipality's Engineering and Public Works Department in regards to sewer service, and they advised there is adequate capacity to service this proposal. And the drawdown test indicates there is well water enough available for this proposal. In respect to flooding and drainage issues, we did request a drainage plan from the applicant, and they have provided one which indicates that with the help of a retention basin in the northwestern corner of the subject site, the post-development flows will not exceed the pre-development flows, and our Department of Engineering and Public Works have signed off on that. There is not expected to be any impact on farming operations, and the site is considered suitable in terms of grade and soil. So just to recap once again, we received a completed application in March of 2024, and a public information meeting was held in April of 2024. Following that, a staff review was undertaken, and then we proceeded to the Planning Advisory Committee in January of 2025. First reading was undertaken in February of 2025, and we are currently at the public hearing. Following tonight's public hearing, there will be second reading where the full Municipal Council will vote on the application, and following that decision there is a 14-day appeal period. And now I will pass it back to Mr. Mayor for comments from the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. I would note that the Municipal Government Act deems that council members are not in attendance at a public hearing are ineligible to vote on the issue in related upcoming council meeting. So Councillor McPherson would be ineligible, but however, Councillor Harding is attending virtually, so he will be able to vote. Just to explain to the public once again, Council sits as a quasi-judicial capacity for public hearings, and so it doesn't engage in debate and doesn't argue with the presenter. It is necessary, however, that everyone has a good sense of what's being presented, so we'll go to questions of clarification. And if there's any misunderstandings by any part, by any councillor, so at this time, is there any questions from any of the councillors to the presenter? So we have Councillor Best.
Thank you, Mayor. To the presenter. Is it right there were 64 letters given out? 64 letters?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Best, yes, that's correct.
And there was 8 people showed up for a public meeting.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councillor Gates.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Perry. My understanding is the area is serviced with sewer, municipal sewer.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Gates, yes, that's correct.
Okay, but not municipal water.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that's correct.
And just for clarification, does the county recoup, in other words, whether there's a utility, we get water and sewer revenues? Does that apply in this particular case?
That is a bit outside of my wheelhouse. Okay. Sorry, I don't know the answer to that question.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Gates. The property would be charged the sewer rate, but not a water rate because it's not receiving water.
I was kind of curious how that worked. Thank you.
Okay. I don't see any other lights on, so I'm going to go to the public now. Is there any member of the public that wishes to address council on this matter? We would ask that you come forward to the mic, state your name, address for the record, and as a reminder that you would have a maximum 5 minutes per speaker. And please address your comments to the council.
I was just going to get your mic as well. Oh, okay. 2671 Mountain View Drive. Been there for 23 years. Mayor Corkum and Council, I appreciate the opportunity to address my concerns regarding this. My first concern is water. Well stability and water quality. Residents have expressed concerns about wells collapsing or drying due to increased development. My own well has been required adjustments due to the bottom slowly collapsing. While the developer mentions ample water, the quality and sustainability of this water are uncertain, especially with climate change affecting water tables and increasing the risk of contamination during intense storms. My household and my neighbor has invested significantly in water treatment systems due to concerns about water quality and highlighting the need for careful management of local water resources. Traffic concerns, adding 24 to 35 more vehicles, potentially more with visitors to this area, would exacerbate existing traffic safety issues. The blind corner at the top of Mountain View Drive already poses risk, and additional traffic will worsen congestion and safety concerns. The close proximity of driveways on Highway Number 1, combined with frequent school bus travel, makes any new entrance from Mountain View into these complexes ill-advised. The present construction of 14A overpass is projected to reduce traffic by 15 to 20%, but until it's completed, then rezoning should be tabled to ensure accurate traffic counts and assess safety impacts. Environmental impact, the green space preservation, removing mature growth and green spaces would eliminate natural buffers against erosion and runoff onto Highway 1. This is particularly concerning given that my location is deemed a flood zone due to extreme weather patterns. My property has flooded twice, and insurance companies have stopped offering overland water insurance this year, highlighting the environmental risk associated with development in this area. Previous experience and community impact, rental property issues, past experience with rental properties in the area have led to safety concerns, stress, and ultimately a significant law enforcement intervention. The property remains an unsightly premise and affecting the aesthetic appeal of Hayes subdivision. The Hayes subdivision has maintained an R1, R2 zoning over 40 years, contribute to its attractiveness. Introducing multi-unit developments could detract from the charm and appeal to the future home buyers. In conclusion, while municipalities face housing needs, rezoning these parcels may not align with strategic planning for the area. I urge careful consideration of these concerns to ensure that any development enhances rather than detracts from the community character and safety. Thanks for your attention to these matters.
Thank you, Mr. Dobson.
Thank you.
Is there any other member of the public that would like to address council? Is there any other member of the public that would like to address council? I guess I'll do it as what they normally do. For the third and final time, is there any other member of the public that would like to address council? Okay. We will move on then, and I want to thank all those in attending. There's no other matters that are coming before the public hearing, so I declare the public hearing to be adjourned. But I would like to note for the public's information that this item is on the agenda of our council meeting directly following this hearing for second reading, and you're certainly welcome to stay. Okay, so that meeting adjourned, and now we will move into our regular municipal council meeting. And again, I will call for a roll call, and Councillor Everett McPherson is home ill, and we do have Councillor Harding who is joining us virtually. So I'd like to have a motion excusing Councillor McPherson for his absence due to illness. Moved by Councillor Sappington, second by Councillor Best. All those in favor or against, please vote.
Yes.
You doesn't have to holler, Tim.
Okay.
Motion carried. Thank you. All right, we have an agenda in front of you, Council. Is there any additions that anyone would like to make to the agenda? I would like to add one addition to, and we'll call it after other business, 11A. Congrats on championship. So that'll be, we'll make that 11A. Okay. Could I get a motion to move the approval of the agenda with that one change. Moved by Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Allen. All those in favor or against, please vote.
Yes.
That's better. Okay, motion carried. Thank you. At this time, I would ask, is there any member of council that would like to declare a conflict of interest in any of the matters that we are going to discuss this evening? No? Okay, we will move on then for approval of the minutes on February the 4th, 2025. Did anyone see any errors or omissions in those minutes? Don't see any hands go up. Then would somebody like to move the approval of those minutes? Moved by Councillor Gates, second by Councillor Hiltz. All those in favor or against, please press your button.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Now we're doing February the 18th, 2025 special council meeting. Did anyone note any errors or omissions in those minutes? No? All right. Can we get a motion to approve those minutes, please? Moved by Councillor Sappington, second by Councillor Allen. All those in favor or against, please vote.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Motion carried. Now for business arising from the minutes on February the 4th, 2025. Is there any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none, we'll move on to February the 18th, 2025 special council meeting. Is there any business arising from those minutes? Oh, okay. Thank you. So we'll move on then to Planning Advisory Committee. Councillor Emily Lutz will be reading the recommendations as Chair of PAC, and the first one is application to rezone 3 properties in Coldbrook, file 24-06. Councillor Lutz.
Sorry, I shut it off. Thank you, Mayor. I move, that Municipal Council gives second reading to the application to rezone 6746 and 6754 Highway 1, PIDs 55154025, 55154017, 55450936, Coldbrook, from the residential 1 and 2 unit R2 zone to the residential mixed density R3 zone as described in Appendix C of the report dated January 14th, 2025. I so move.
Okay, we have a seconder. Second by Deputy Mayor Peckford. Any further discussion? Councillor Lutz.
Thank you, Mayor. I just had 2 brief questions. One's for Mr. Kerrigan. Could you let me know where the water ends going into Coldbrook? I know this building is on Kentville water. How far does that extend into the growth center of Coldbrook?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would have to check maps and get back to you on that.
Thank you. And just one follow-up, if you don't mind, Mayor. And it's also for Mr. Kerrigan. Sorry, put you on the spot. So this is a new development on a busy stretch of road, and there is a blind spot. Would this be an area of Kings County where we would justify putting in streetlights for safety? So under our streetlight policy, the municipal engineer is able to, I know you probably can't answer this today because you have to go examine it, but in certain situations, we have the ability to install streetlights without the community petition due to just simply safety concerns. And where this is a blind hill with tall trees and kind of a ravine-ish area. Would this be an area you might think about that would qualify for streetlights?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, again, I would have to look specifically at this location to determine that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, any further, no further questions? Okay. Somebody want to call for the question? All right, so, question called for. All those in favor or against, please vote.
Yay.
Motion carried. Thank you. And we'll move on to application to rezone property on Prospect Road in New Minas, file 24-10. Councillor Lutz.
Thank you, Mayor. So I move that Municipal Council give first reading to and hold a public hearing regarding the application to rezone a vacant property located on Prospect Road, PID 55199-145, New Minas, from the Highway Commercial C5 zone to the Mixed Commercial C3 zone, as described in Appendix D of the report dated February 11th, 2025.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Second by Councillor Hiltz. Any further discussion? Seeing no lights on, then, all those in favor or against, please vote.
Yay.
Okay, motion carried. We'll move on to number C, application to rezone property at 5329 Prospect Road in New Minas, file 24-16. Councillor Lutz.
Thank you. I move that Municipal Council give first reading to and hold a public hearing regarding the application to rezone the property located at 5329 Prospect Road, PID 55199-129, New Minas, from the Highway Commercial C5 zone to the Mixed Commercial Residential C3 zone, as described in Appendix D of the report dated February 11th, 2025.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Best, second by Deputy Mayor. All those in favor or against, please press your button.
Yay.
Motion carried. Thank you. And the last item is D, your next public meeting, Councillor Lutz.
Thank you, Mayor. The next public hearing for the municipality of the County of Kings will be held Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 at 6 p.m. here in these chambers. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Lutz. Now we'll move on to administration. The clerk to present two proclamations, a request for Purple Day for Epilepsy and the World Down Syndrome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, Council. So the first one is a Purple Day proclamation. We received this proclamation request from the Epilepsy Association of the Maritimes. This request was previously received and approved by Council in 2017 through 2021, and then again in 2023. And I just want to note that if approved, Council will be asked to wear purple ribbons at our next meeting on March the 18th for a group photo that would be placed on the Epilepsy Association's website and social media. We've done that with a couple of previous councils as well. And so with that, the recommended motion is that Municipal Council proclaim March 26, 2025 to be Purple Day in the municipality of the County of Kings.
Okay, moved by Councillor Best, second by Deputy Mayor. All those in favor or against, please vote.
Yay.
Motion carried. And now the World Down Syndrome Day Clerk, Yanni.
Thank you. So this request for a proclamation and also a flag raising was submitted by Carrie Saunders. She has organized this for a number of years now. As some of you may know, she has a son who has Down syndrome. His name is Hunter, and he's now 11. Now we've been doing this proclamation and flag raising request for several years. So Hunter would have been probably about 3 or 4 when we first started. It's really nice to see him grow up. This request was received and approved by council in 2017 through 2020, and then in 2023 and 2024. So this would be the 7th time. I'd like to note that there will be a flag raising and proclamation reading ceremony on March the 21st at 9:15 here in Chambers. And of course, we would go outside for the flag raising, and you're all welcome to attend. So the recommended motion is that Municipal Council proclaim March 21st, 2025 to be World Down Syndrome Day in the municipality of the County of Kings.
Okay, do we have a mover? And moved by Councillor Sappington, second by Councillor Hiltz. All those in favor or against, please vote.
Yay.
Motion carried. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And we will now move on to Engineering and Public Works, and we'll ask Director Brad Kerrigan to come forward and make a presentation on the award of a contract number 24-11A Chapel Road Infrastructure Upgrade.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Today I'm here to discuss the contract award number 24-11A for Chapel Road infrastructure upgrades. This project has been many years in the coming to getting to this point, and happy that it's finally come to the point where we can make a recommendation for award. The scope of this contract is to replace the sewer, water, road, stormwater, and sidewalk infrastructure on Chapel Road in Canning. And as per municipality procurement policy FIN 05006, section 9.4, states that all tenders in excess of $150,000 shall require a report from the director, including an award and recommendation to council. The Village of Canning, just some background on this project, is it is a partnership between cost share between the municipality of Kings and the Village of Canning. The Village of Canning owns the water assets and will own the new curb and gutter and sidewalk infrastructure. The municipality does own and will own the new sewer infrastructure, and the base gravels and the first lift of asphalt that is to be applied is to be shared by both partners. The procurement event details: on January 24th, 4 bids were submitted for this public tender event. Staff reviews the proposed bids for completeness, and we are recommending the award to the lowest bidder with provisions listed in the report. So the total bid, as you can see here, was before taxes $4,879,653, for a total with non-recoverable HST of $5,088,795, and you can see the water and sidewalk portion for the Village of Canning is listed at a little more than $3.1 million, with the total for the sewer system and our share, the cost share of the base gravels, works out to just under $2 million. Few more details, because this tender did not include any contingency. We are allowing a 20% to recommending a 20% contingency be carried for construction to deal with things like unsuitable soils or anything that may come up once ground is broken on the project. So you can see here the construction portion of $1.9 million with non-recoverable HST added. In addition to that is the construction contingency of just shy of $400,000 for total municipal project cost estimated at $2,385,484. Previously in the 2024-25 capital budget, there was $1.177 million allocated already for this project. Of note, out of that I'll say $1.2 million, 900,000 of that was approved budget funding from the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Project Funding Grant. In theory, basically, 900 was grant funding, 900,000 was grant funding, with the balance being municipal funds. So to reach the total municipal projected costs, we are looking for budget pre-approval for the 2025-26 budget of $1,207,940. And the funding sources, as you can see, are listed here, with out of that $1.2 million, with $204,000 coming from the CCBF, $204,000 coming from capital reserves, and the remainder of debt. So there are two recommendations to follow, this one and one other. I'll actually read them out and then they'll be stated. That the Municipal Council pre-approve debt issuance and the use of capital reserves for fiscal 2025-26 for the municipality's share of increased capital costs associated with the Chapel Road Infrastructure Upgrade Project as detailed in the March 4th, 2025 request for decision. And secondly, that Municipal Council authorize the Mayor and CAO to execute Contract 24-11A Chapel Road Infrastructure Upgrade with Gary Parker Excavating Limited in the amount of $5,088,794.94, including non-recoverable HST as described in the request for decision dated March 4th, 2025, with said execution being subject to the Village of Canning securing approval of their share of project funding.
Okay, thank you. I'll get you to put it back to the first recommendation, Director, please. So do we have a mover and a seconder for that? We have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Gates, second by Deputy Mayor. Okay. Councillor Best.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. How many tenders do we have in this project?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there was 4 submitted tenders.
And if I may ask one more question, do you
Sure.
always put in 20% overrun? Is that what you recommend always?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, not always. It depends on a few things. In this case, we went with 20% because of the project when it was designed. The project design was done by a consultant that we no longer use. And they are, even though they're engineer of record, we have to have a third party act as an engineering sub-consultant to the municipality helping us through this project. So with that, where we may want to bring down the contingency a little bit if we had a little tighter control on the design, we do recognize that the original design was started back in 2018, I believe. So, you know, there could, even though it's been vetted, there could be some things creep up. So 20% is not unreasonable, and we certainly hope that it's a lot less than that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Best. Whoops. Councillor Gates.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Brad. Can you, just for clarification, who applies for the easement in Chapel Road from the Crown? Is that the village or is that the municipality?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, could you please clarify, Mr. Gates, which easement which you're referring?
Typically, you'd have to have an easement in the Crown property for the infrastructure below it.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I do not know who the permit, the construction company is ultimately responsible for getting the permit. The project design has already been reviewed and endorsed by the province.
I guess that's where I'm leading to, is usually it comes the day of turning the asphalt and everyone asks who applied for the easement. Because typically it would be a crown highway and there would need to be an easement in that. So I'm just asking that it doesn't get overlooked. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we have a motion in front of you, council. All those in favor or against, please vote.
Yay.
Tone her down still just a little bit, Tim.
Okay.
Thank you. Motion carried. Thank you. And now we'll move on to the second recommendation. We have a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Lutz, second by Councillor Hiltz. All, any other comments? No? All those in favor or against, please vote.
Yay.
That's a little better. Okay, motion carried. Thank you, Director Kerrigan. We'll move on now to board and committee reports. And we have the Diversity Kings Committee, which report will be submitted by Councillor Sappington. And so do you have anything to add to your report, Councillor Sappington?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to add this because Diversity Kings did meet last night. So I'd like to add that we had a presentation from Wendy Knowlton from Women's Place Resource Center. She presented survey results on gender-based violence, and it was eye-opening. And we all got together and we worked on our work plan, and there was a lot of amazing brainstorming that happened.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions to Councillor Sappington on her report? No. Would you like to move receipt of your report?
I so move.
Okay. Second by Councillor Allen. All those in favor or against, please vote.
Yay.
Okay, thank you. Motion carried. Now we'll move on to the police board report, also submitted by Councillor Sappington. Do you have anything to add to that report?
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I do want to note that I might have previously referenced a tour of the RCMP building in New Minas. That was apparently only intended for members of the Police Advisory Board. Thank you. I so move.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for Councillor Sappington? Councillor Best. Does anyone have any questions to Councillor Sappington on her report? All right. All those in favor or against, please vote.
Yay.
Thank you. Motion carried. Interim Kings Transit and Valley Waste. You've seen my report, Council. Do you have any questions to me on my comments previous? No? Would somebody like to move receipt of my report, please? Moved by Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Sappington. All those in favor or against, please press your button.
Yay.
That's much better. Motion carried. Committees of Council. Is there any other verbal reports of committees of council that anyone would like to bring forward? No? Okay. Any external boards and committees any verbal reports from external boards and committees? No? Okay, I guess we need a motion now to receive all those reports, although I did them individually. Moved by Deputy Mayor Peckford, second by Councillor Gates. All those in favor or against, please vote.
Yay.
Double indemnity. Well, you never know. You might know how to approve mine. Could approve somebody else's, right? All right, motion carried. Move on to correspondence. We have correspondence from the Order of Nova Scotia to call for nominations for 2025. Motion to receive that correspondence, please. Councillor Allen, second by Councillor Lutz. All those in favor or against, please press your button.
Yay.
Okay. Other business. We do have an appointment to the Kenful Source Water Protection Advisory. Councillor Gates was appointed to the Kenful Water Commission in December, but due to an oversight, he was not appointed to the Kenful Source Water Protection Advisory Group. The next meeting is March 26th, so the appointment should be made tonight so that Councillor Gates can get to that meeting. So I would please ask for a motion to appoint Councillor Gates to the Kenful Source Water Protection Group. Moved by Councillor Best, second by Councillor Allen. All those in favor or against, please press your button.
Yay.
Okay. Okay, and I don't think there's any other business coming before council. 11A, I would like to say a great big congratulations on the championship win of the Nova Scotia Division II Provincial Basketball Championship, the Northeast Kings Education Center, for the first time ever. They won this, and I believe that we have noted it on our website, and it's quite an accomplishment. I know they're quite excited. I was kind of hoping that Councillor McPherson was here tonight, because I believe the principal over there is Mr. Vino, Kevin Vino, who was also the basketball coach and also the principal. And I was just going to ask Councillor McPherson how many times they won it while he was there, and knowing that this is the first time ever. But anyway, I can't pick on him because he's home ill. But anyway, I think it's a wonderful thing, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention too, on the weekend, our own Grayson Parker, his team from Horton finished second in the AA girls basketball championship. So we've got lots of, and I think Councillor Hiltz had family members that were also in championship circle this past weekend. So congrats to all those. So now we are back to the comments from the public. If there's any member of the public who wishes to come to the podium and address council, if yes, we would ask you to come and state your name and address. And this time there's a 2-minute time limit for the public to speak. Okay, we'll move on then. And I do want to thank all the members of the public who came this evening, and those that had an opportunity to talk earlier. Council will be moving into a closed session, and we will not be coming back into a public session, so I just wanted to let you know that there's no sense staying around, because we will not be coming back into a closed session. So at this time, I would ask for a motion to move into a in-camera session, please. Moved by Deputy Mayor Beckford, second by Councillor Allen. All those in favor or against, please press your button.
Yay.
Okay. Motion carried.